You begin by sinking into the quiet fabric of the night, as if you are lying beneath an endless sky that has exhaled all its noise. The world around you softens. Your pulse eases. Your breath finds a slow, gentle rhythm. You feel the calm weight of darkness pressing close, not as something heavy, but as something comforting, a blanket that has been waiting for you to notice the space it holds. The night feels wider, more spacious, as though it has stretched its arms open just for you. You allow yourself to settle deeper into this quiet, and as you do, you sense something beneath it. A subtle pulse, a faint vibration you might have overlooked any other time. It is the pulse of space-time itself, a whisper of the cosmic fabric that surrounds you. It is the gentle tremble of a universe that has never truly been still, even in its quietest moments. That subtle sense of motion, that almost imperceptible hum, reminds you that everything everywhere is always moving. Even silence has a heartbeat. You imagine space-time as a soft, invisible ocean, spreading out beneath the stars. Its waves are not made of water, but of the bending and stretching of reality itself. Gravity becomes something like a tide, a slow pull, a steady current leading you somewhere familiar yet mysterious. You feel it in your body, the way you rest, the way the ground holds you, the way your mind eases into softness. Gravity is not forceful tonight. It is gentle guidance. As you rest within this cosmic ocean, your awareness begins to drift outward. You picture stars in their distant homes, burning with quiet determination. Some of them are like lanterns glowing steadily in the dark. Others flicker with a more frantic light, nearing the end of their long lifetimes. You imagine one star in particular, a massive one, heavier than anything your mind can fully picture, somewhere far beyond your sight, quietly approaching its final breath. For millions of years, this star has been holding itself together with a delicate balance. The outward push of nuclear fusion and the inward pull of gravity. It is a constant tension, a kind of cosmic inhale and exhale. Tonight, as you listen to the slow rhythm of your own breathing, you imagine this star taking its last breath. The outward pressure weakens. The inward pull remains. In one soft, inevitable moment, the star begins to collapse. Its outer layers fall inward, folding, crushing, compressing. It happens faster than you might expect, yet in your mind you slow the process down so you can watch each stage. You imagine the star shrinking into itself, its core tightening. You feel the gravity intensify, not violently, but with a strange elegance, like a hand closing carefully around something fragile. The collapse feels less like destruction and more like transformation, as if the star is not ending but returning to something truer. In this collapse, something extraordinary happens. Matter becomes so dense, so tightly packed that nothing, not light, not time, not even the laws of physics, behaves the way it used to. The star reaches a threshold where the known world ends, and something new begins. In that moment, a black hole is born. You picture it gently. Not as a monster, not as a devourer, but as a dark sphere with a quiet presence. You see it sitting in the remains of its own star, like a seed left behind after a forest fire. It is small compared to the star that created it, but incredibly powerful. Everything around it shifts, bends, curves. Space turns inward. Time stretches. Light circles in dizzying spirals. And yet, the black hole itself makes no sound, no movement, no threat. Simply is. You let yourself drift closer to this dark sphere, as if you are floating through its silent surroundings. The closer you get, the quieter everything feels. Even your thoughts slow down. You feel the stillness thickening around you. It is not an empty silence. It is full, dense, rich with something you cannot name. It is the kind of silence that feels alive. You imagine yourself hovering near the event horizon, the invisible border around the black hole where light hesitates. It is not a wall or a barrier. It is more like a threshold, a doorway between the known and the unknown. Light stretches there, flattening into thin ribbons. Time seems to drag, each moment stretching longer than the last. If you reach out, you feel the air around you grow heavier yet mesmerizingly calm. In this place, gravity is not a harsh pull. It is a soft invitation. It does not yank or force. It simply waits. It encourages you to notice the shape of space-time itself, curving inward like a slow spiral. You feel yourself drifting along that curve, following a path that feels effortless. Your body relaxes into the fall. There is no fear, only surrender, only curiosity. You realize that black holes are not holes at all. They are more like wells, deep, smooth, perfectly carved into the fabric of the universe. They are the result of stars that once shone, stars that lived long, brilliant lives, stars that eventually grew tired and returned their energy to the dark. Black holes are memorials of cosmic life cycles. They hold stories in their gravity. As you float near this quiet, impossible sphere, you begin to understand why black holes fascinate physicists, dreamers, and curious minds alike. They are places where gravity becomes so strong that it shapes reality in ways nothing else can. They challenge every rule you have learned. They invite questions that cannot yet be answered. They stand at the edge of human understanding, waiting patiently for someone to listen, to explore, to wonder. The night around you feels different now. You feel connected to something ancient, something vast. You feel the universe breathing in slow rhythm, the rise and fall of cosmic forces shaping everything from stardust to galaxies. The darkness no longer feels empty. It feels full of stories, full of memory, full of quiet creation. You think of the star whose collapse you witnessed. You think of the moment it surrendered to its own gravity. You think of the black hole left behind, gently warping the space around it. That transition, from star to singularity, feels strangely familiar. It mirrors moments in your own life where endings became beginnings, where collapse became clarity, where letting go became a deeper form of becoming. The night holds you in this thought. You breathe into it. You let the idea settle. The universe feels quiet now, but the quiet is not stillness. It is anticipation. The black hole waits, silent and patient, its dark horizon shimmering at the edge of comprehension. And as you drift in this place between understanding and mystery, you sense that the story is just beginning, and something deeper is calling you forward into. You drift now into the life of a star, a luminous body born from clouds of gas and dust that once floated like soft whispers in the cosmos. Imagine it as a gentle glow in the vast dark, steady and unwavering, a slow pulse of energy that stretches across light years, unnoticed by most but profoundly alive. You feel yourself floating closer, sensing the warmth that does not burn but hums softly, like a lullaby meant for space itself. The star has lived countless years, balancing on a knife's edge between the outward push of nuclear fusion and the inward pull of gravity. And tonight, you come to witness the story of a star that can no longer hold itself up. It is immense, heavier than anything you can easily picture. Its heart, a core dense with matter, radiates energy outward, a gentle inflation that keeps it from collapsing under its own weight. Each fusion reaction is a breath, a tiny exhalation of light and heat that resists the constant tug of gravity pressing inward. You imagine the star as breathing with a cosmic rhythm, expanding and contracting with every pulse, alive in a way that feels both intimate and eternal. The balance is delicate. One faltering heartbeat, one subtle shift, and the star's entire life begins to unravel. Gravity is patient, insistent, like a soft hand resting on your shoulder. For millions of years, it has waited quietly, pressing inward, a silent reminder that all matter eventually responds to its call. You feel its pull as you drift nearer, sensing the way it molds the space around the star, curving reality itself in subtle, invisible ways. The warmth of the star is comforting, yet there is a quiet tension underlying it, a tension you can almost see, like threads stretched taut between two poles. The star is full of life and yet poised on the brink of a transformation you cannot yet see. As you linger in its glow, you sense the exhaustion that has been building. Fusion at the core slows imperceptibly, like a long sigh from a body grown weary. The outward pressure that once balanced gravity begins to falter. You notice it as a shift in rhythm, a subtle elongation in the star's pulse. Gravity presses a little more insistently, bending the very fabric of space around the star in ever tighter arcs. The core grows hotter even as the outward energy wanes, a paradox of compression and heating that feels like a whisper from the universe. Everything must eventually yield. You float closer still, observing this process not with fear, but with curiosity. The star does not collapse suddenly, does not scream or shatter. Its surrender is a quiet, elegant contraction, like a flower folding its petals at dusk. Each layer of matter folds inward upon itself, compressing, becoming denser, hotter, more charged with potential. You feel the gravity tugging at the very atoms, the space around it bending in response, until the star's outer layers tremble and pulse like a final exhale. You notice the beauty in the inevitability of it. Creation and collapse are not opposites here, but partners in a cosmic dance. As the core shrinks, it reaches a threshold so extreme that it seems almost impossible. The matter is compressed beyond anything familiar, a density that your mind cannot fully grasp. Time itself feels different here, slowed, stretched, elongated, as if the universe is pausing to witness this transformation. You feel your own heartbeat sync with this rhythm, a slow, measured echo of a process that is both violent and tender. You understand without words that this is not destruction but a passage, a surrender to something larger than the star itself. The outer layers of the star respond. They collapse inward in a silent wave, compressing, folding, cascading toward the core. You watch them move, tracing elegant spirals of energy that radiate warmth and light even as they descend. The star's final moments are not chaotic. They are precise, deliberate, a choreography dictated by the laws of nature. You imagine the atoms themselves whispering in a language older than the universe, negotiating the transition from light to darkness, from matter to something beyond comprehension. Then, in the heart of this dying star, something extraordinary emerges. The core, having surrendered fully to gravity, condenses into a space so small, so dense, that it begins to warp the universe itself. The very concept of here and there becomes distorted. The boundary between the inside and outside of this object is drawn not by matter, but by the curvature of space-time. You feel a sense of awe as the star's identity changes. It is no longer merely a star. It is becoming a black hole, a presence that is both subtle and profoundly powerful. The birth of a black hole is not violent in the way you might imagine. There is no thunderous roar, no explosion of sound. There is only a shift in the way the universe organizes itself. The matter that once formed the star's core has concentrated into an almost infinitesimal point. Space curves sharply around it, pulling light, energy, and time inward. You sense the gravity radiating outward, shaping the surroundings even as the central singularity remains unseen. The black hole is patient, silent, inevitable. You hover near the event horizon, the boundary where escape becomes impossible. Here, light itself seems to hesitate, bending, spiraling, stretching in slow, graceful arcs. You notice how different the world feels just beyond this threshold. Time stretches, distances warp. Your perception feels fluid, almost like you are moving in a dream. There is no fear here, only a deep, contemplative stillness. You feel the elegance of the cosmos as it allows something so dense, so intense, to exist without aggression, a paradox of immense power held in perfect silence. In the black hole's presence, you reflect on the nature of endings. This star, like all things, has moved through a life cycle: birth, expansion, stability, and finally collapse. Its surrender is neither cruel nor tragic. It is simply a return to the elemental rules that govern the universe. You feel a quiet kinship with this cosmic process, sensing that surrender and transformation are part of a natural rhythm. Your own life, your own quiet moments, mirror these cycles, small yet significant. The surrounding space is illuminated in strange, subtle ways. Light bends around the black hole, creating arcs and trails that shimmer faintly. Matter from the star's outer layers may swirl in a delicate accretion disk, glowing softly before being pulled inward. You notice that energy is never truly lost. Transforms, radiates, finds new paths. Even in collapse, the universe whispers its secrets. You feel the continuity of it all. Birth, death, and renewal interconnected in ways that your mind can begin to grasp but never fully contain. You linger here, in awe of the quiet potency of gravity. You imagine other stars, other black holes, other events unfolding across the cosmos with the same patient inevitability. There is a rhythm here that transcends human understanding, a slow, meditative pulse that invites you to align yourself with it, to breathe in sync with the universe's larger movements. You feel how deeply connected you are to these processes, even if your presence is small, fleeting, temporary. As you drift away from the black hole's immediate influence, you carry with you the memory of the star's last moments. You remember the slow collapse, the bending of space and time, the elegance of transformation. You feel a gentle reverence for processes so immense that words fail to capture them fully. The quiet power of gravity, the inevitability of change, the subtle beauty in endings. These lessons settle into your mind like stardust. Your thoughts turn naturally to the next phase of understanding. If this star has forgotten to hold itself up, if it has surrendered to gravity's patient embrace, what happens to the boundary between its world and the rest of the cosmos? How does light behave near a threshold it cannot cross? How does time feel when it begins to stretch infinitely? You sense that your journey is not over, that the universe has more stories to reveal, more mysteries to invite you into its quiet, cosmic rhythm. And as you close your eyes and let the black hole's silent presence linger in your imagination, you feel the night around you deepen, more expansive, more serene. The star has become something extraordinary. You are left with a gentle question, a soft pause. What is it like to meet the invisible, to hover at a threshold where even light hesitates, and to wonder at the edges of what is known? The darkness holds you in this reflective calm, and you drift onward, knowing that soon you will meet it. The invisible sphere, the event horizon, the boundary where the universe itself begins to bend in ways your mind has only just begun to imagine. You drift slowly now, guided by the quiet pull of curiosity, toward a place that seems simultaneously near and impossibly distant. It is the threshold of the black hole, the event horizon, an invisible sphere that marks the border between what can escape and what must surrender. Imagine it as a shoreline in a sea of darkness, not jagged or dangerous, but soft, quiet, and precise. You hover just above it, sensing the gentle curvature of space-time around you, as if reality itself is bending with subtle grace to form this boundary. The event horizon is not a wall, not a barrier in the usual sense. It is a line drawn by the universe itself, where gravity becomes absolute, where light hesitates and time begins to stretch. You feel a quiet awe as you approach, noticing how everything changes in ways too slow for your ordinary perception. Space feels elastic, like soft taffy stretching infinitely, yet welcoming. Time seems to slow, elongating each heartbeat, each breath, each thought. The horizon invites you to notice the beauty in waiting, in patience, in the silence that holds everything together. You imagine light bending along the curves of space-time, spiraling, hesitating, almost turning back on itself. Photons dance around the event horizon in delicate arcs, some escaping, some trapped in endless orbits, neither here nor there. You sense that even in invisibility, there is presence, subtle yet undeniable. The black hole is quiet, but it speaks in the language of curvature, of time, of potential energy. You feel your mind softening as you begin to perceive the rhythm of this invisible sphere. Floating nearer, you notice how gravity pulls differently here. It does not rush or snap. It stretches and elongates. You feel weightless, yet acutely aware of the pull, the bending, the warping that surrounds you. Your body becomes part of this rhythm, moving in gentle sync with the curves of space. You are both observer and participant in a cosmic dance. Every motion feels deliberate, like water flowing slowly around a stone, every pause full of quiet meaning. You think of the star whose collapse you watched in the previous chapter. Its heart became impossibly dense, giving birth to this boundary. The event horizon is a quiet consequence of that life, a threshold carved in space-time, marking the edge of the known. You sense that it is less a limit than an invitation. You are not meant to fear this sphere. You are meant to observe, to wonder, to feel the universe's soft insistence on both mystery and structure. As you hover at this invisible threshold, you notice how time behaves differently. Seconds seem to stretch, folding over themselves, so that what passes for a heartbeat to you might take years in another frame. You feel your awareness expanding, attuning to the patience of the cosmos. Each thought elongates, each sensation deepens, as if the universe has slowed itself to allow you the intimacy of understanding. You sense that time is not a straight arrow here, but a pliable rhythm, bending and flowing around the contours of gravity. Your eyes drift outward, toward the faint glow of accreting matter spiraling gently toward the horizon. Gas, dust, and stellar remnants glide along invisible currents, heating as they approach, emitting subtle light before surrendering completely. You imagine these particles tracing long, graceful paths, swirling and curling like ribbons in slow motion. Even in their final descent, there is beauty, a quiet elegance that mirrors the infinite patience of the event horizon. It is a gentle reminder that movement, transformation, and surrender need not be violent. The horizon itself seems alive in an abstract way, not conscious, not aware, but responsive. You feel it as a curvature that informs every nearby trajectory, every nearby particle, every nearby wave of light. You sense that it listens to the universe in its own way, shaping motion and flow without effort. You breathe with it, feeling yourself part of a continuum that stretches from stars collapsing millions of years ago to your own quiet attention in this moment. You imagine falling closer still, though you know there is no need to rush. The event horizon is patient. It waits for all matter, all light, all curiosity to arrive in its gentle embrace. You think of gravity here as an almost tender force, not a pull to harm, but a shaping influence that aligns everything with its quiet geometry. You sense a paradox. The black hole is immensely powerful, yet exquisitely calm, its force both absolute and gentle. Floating near the horizon, you notice the subtle distortions in space. Shapes bend, lines curve, distances stretch. Even the light from distant stars moves differently here, elongating into soft, ethereal arcs. You feel as if the universe has drawn a veil over this region, not to hide it, but to reveal a new way of seeing, a perspective where ordinary rules of measurement dissolve and perception flows like liquid. In this place, observation is not passive. It is intimate. You are part of the cosmic pattern simply by noticing it. You reflect on the concept of the event horizon as a metaphor. Perhaps it mirrors moments in your own life, thresholds where familiar understanding ends, and curiosity must take the lead. You sense the soft wisdom in this comparison. Endings are not absolute. They are boundaries, shaping the flow of perception and experience. Just as the horizon defines what can escape a black hole, the edges of your understanding define where imagination begins. You feel a quiet gratitude for the invitation to hover at the edge, to wonder without needing answers. In the darkness beyond, you sense how space and time fold. The horizon is a silent teacher, showing how proximity changes experience. Time dilates, space stretches, and yet you remain present, fully aware, fully immersed. Each moment feels elongated, like watching a wave crest in slow motion before it folds back into the ocean. You notice the grace in this unfolding, the patience inherent in cosmic processes. You begin to sense that understanding is less about rushing and more about attuning to these gentle rhythms. You imagine yourself tracing an invisible path along the horizon, moving slowly, observing each bend of light, each ripple in gravity. It is a journey that asks nothing of you but your presence. You notice how your awareness expands, how your mind becomes softer, more open to the subtle mathematics of space itself. There is no tension here, no urgency, only observation, reflection, and a deepening sense of connection to forces larger than any individual star, any single particle, any single thought. Your thoughts turn gently to the paradoxes you have already glimpsed. Matter collapsing, light bending, time stretching. You realize that the event horizon is where these paradoxes converge. It is a threshold where certainty dissolves, where questions are more beautiful than answers. You feel your curiosity stirring, not anxious but serene, aware that the universe offers this invitation freely. Explore, imagine, wonder. Your mind is both participant and witness. Even as you hover at the horizon, you notice the subtle interplay of forces beyond immediate perception. The black hole is not isolated. It communicates through gravity waves, through distortions in space-time, ripples that travel across incomprehensible distances. You sense that each black hole is part of a greater web, a network of curvature and rhythm that connects galaxies, stars, and perhaps even your own quiet awareness. You feel the vastness, and yet you feel included in the gentle logic of this cosmic dance. The horizon, invisible yet unmistakable, begins to teach you patience. You notice how proximity does not require action. Presence itself is enough. Watching, sensing, and contemplating become a meditation. You feel your body and mind attuning to the stillness, your thoughts aligning with the slow, inevitable pull of gravity. You breathe with the rhythm of space-time itself, inhaling with curvature, exhaling with light, suspended in the balance between the known and unknown. And as you float there, in that quiet, infinite edge of perception, you feel a sense of profound humility and wonder. The event horizon is not a barrier but a doorway, a place that encourages you to ask questions gently, to observe carefully, to respect the subtleties of the universe. You sense that to understand even a fraction of this boundary is to glimpse the poetry of cosmic order, the elegance of forces that stretch and fold beyond ordinary comprehension. Your mind begins to drift naturally toward what lies beyond the horizon. You wonder about the depths where gravity dominates completely, where space and time are no longer distinct, where singularities wait quietly, infinitely dense. You sense that this next stage is both terrifying and mesmerizing, a realm of ultimate mystery that calls not with noise, but with the whisper of infinity. The horizon holds you in this reflective calm, patient and silent. You feel its pull, not urgent but inevitable, and you realize that the journey has only just begun. In the quiet stretching of light and time, you are prepared to move forward, toward the heart of darkness, toward the singular point where even the universe seems to pause and breathe, waiting for you to witness its secrets. You drift now into a strange and gentle rhythm, a place where the rules of ordinary motion begin to bend, stretch, and fold. Near a black hole, falling is not violent. It is a soft surrender. Imagine yourself weightless, suspended in the invisible currents of gravity, floating in a current that pulls without hurry, that bends without breaking. Each movement feels fluid, like water flowing over stones, effortless yet deeply deliberate. You are both observer and participant, carried along by forces that are invisible yet palpable, shaping your path with a quiet precision. You notice the paradox of freefall. You are falling, yet you feel no strain, no pull in the usual sense. Gravity guides you as though it were a gentle hand, not a forceful tug. Time, however, behaves differently. For you, each second drifts slowly, expanding into a small eternity. For an observer far away, your motions would appear elongated, stretched into slow motion, a ballet performed on the edge of reality. You feel your heartbeat sinking to this rhythm, slow and deliberate, attuned to the subtle curvature of space itself. As you move closer, you become aware of spaghettification, a curious, elegant stretching of matter near the black hole. But do not fear it. Here it is not violent. It is a metaphor for transformation. Imagine a piece of fabric being stretched gently, not torn, but elongated into something new, its threads becoming thinner yet more precise. Your body, your mind, your awareness can exist in this metaphorical space, appreciating the beauty of elasticity without experiencing destruction. Time and space interweave around you like ribbons of light, bending, spiraling, twisting. You notice how moments feel suspended, elongated into delicate arcs. A second here might feel like a minute might feel like an hour. You breathe slowly, deliberately, feeling each inhalation and exhalation fold into the curvature of the cosmos. You feel a profound intimacy with the black hole, not through proximity or confrontation, but through quiet observation, through attunement to the rhythm of its influence. You float among streams of matter, gas, and dust, swirling along invisible currents that circle toward the event horizon. Each particle traces a spiral, a slow descent, glowing faintly before surrendering completely. You imagine these currents as ribbons of light, bending elegantly, weaving their stories around the invisible sphere. Even as matter falls, nothing is wasted. Energy transforms, patterns shift, trajectories bend. There is grace in surrender. There is poetry in inevitability. You sense that this process, repeated across countless stars and black holes, carries the universe's wisdom. Flow, transform, adapt. Your thoughts linger on the contrast between your experience and that of an external observer. Far away, everything you do would appear stretched, slowed, almost unreal. Yet here, near the black hole, time feels personal, malleable, gentle. You feel the intimacy of perspective. Reality is not fixed. It is woven by the observer as much as by the observed. You sense the importance of presence, of noticing without haste, of allowing observation to become meditation. You move closer to the event horizon, careful, deliberate, aware. The space near it feels different. More elastic, more receptive. Your mind stretches along with it. You feel how each particle of matter, each photon of light, each ripple of spacetime conforms to gravity's quiet invitation. There is a balance here, subtle yet absolute. Even in extremes, the universe maintains rhythm. Even in the edges of comprehension, there is harmony. You imagine your own trajectory, gentle and continuous, moving without touching, suspended in a current of curved space. You notice how the concept of distance becomes abstract. Near a black hole, proximity does not follow the ordinary rules. Closer does not mean faster. Falling does not imply pain. You are in a state of constant adjustment, flowing with gravity's contours, floating with a rhythm older than stars. You feel a calm acceptance of motion as an intimate conversation with the cosmos. Even as you drift, you notice the stretching of light. Photons curve, spiral, and sometimes hover near the horizon for moments that seem infinite. You imagine them as dancers suspended mid-step, caught in a choreography beyond human comprehension. You sense that this delicate interplay of light and gravity is a metaphor for knowledge itself. Elusive, bending, approaching clarity, yet never fully grasped. You feel a gentle curiosity, the kind that does not demand answers but finds contentment in wonder. You begin to reflect on the nature of touch and presence. Near the black hole, you are falling, yet not touching, moving, yet not consumed. It is a paradox you embrace. It mirrors the subtle mysteries of life, experiences that shape you without force, influences that pull gently without pressure, lessons that arrive without demand. You sense the elegance of this metaphor. Gravity teaches not by violence, but by shaping, bending, guiding. You breathe with the rhythm, letting the lessons sink into your consciousness. As you glide in this zone of stretching, floating, bending, you notice the soft glow of accretion disks. Gas and dust swirl, heating as it approaches the edge. The light dances around the horizon, tracing spirals that shimmer like silken threads. You observe the harmony in motion, chaos transformed into pattern, destruction transformed into beauty. Each element participates willingly in this rhythm, contributing to the tapestry of motion and energy that defines this extreme space. Your awareness deepens as you consider the duality of freefall. You are simultaneously moving and still. You are participating and observing. You are here and yet not entirely here. The black hole's influence is total, and yet it allows you to witness without interference, to float without harm. You feel a sense of trust, not in safety but in the consistency of natural law. Gravity acts as it must. Space curves as it must. Time stretches as it must. And you, like the photons and particles around you, are part of the continuum. In the silence, you notice the subtle pull of time itself. Your thoughts elongate. Moments fold upon each other. Memory and imagination blend, creating a gentle flow in which past, present, and potential future coexist. You feel your mind attuning to this rhythm, learning patience, absorbing stillness. You sense that understanding here is not intellectual, but experiential, the universe teaching through presence rather than explanation. You move slowly along the curves of spacetime, watching the black hole's invisible influence ripple outward. You feel the gentle tug of its gravity on distant objects, on light, on the very flow of space. You sense the deep interconnection between this point and the surrounding universe, a quiet reminder that influence does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers, bends, shapes subtly, and leaves lasting effects. You are part of that whisper. Even as you float, you feel a soft invitation to wonder. What is it like to cross thresholds where ordinary rules cease to apply? What does it mean to experience extremes gently, to bend without breaking, to float while falling? You sense that the answers are not in words, but in presence. Observation becomes meditation. Participation becomes reflection. Floating becomes understanding. And as you linger near the event horizon, you feel the gentle gravity guiding you toward the next stage. The black hole waits silently, patiently, for all matter, all light, all curiosity to arrive. Beyond this floating, stretching, suspended state lies the singularity, the dense, mysterious heart where space and time collapse, where even the known rules bend into new forms. You sense its quiet call, not urgent, not demanding, but inevitable. You take a deep, slow breath, aligning yourself with the rhythm of motion, with a stretching of time, with a gentle pull of the black hole. You feel grounded in the suspended flow, aware of both the beauty and the mystery that surrounds you. And as you drift in this slow, meditative fall, you allow yourself to wonder, what is the experience of the heart of darkness itself, where gravity, matter, and time converge in absolute intimacy? You drift now closer to the ultimate quiet of a black hole, a place where the universe folds in upon itself and the familiar rules of reality begin to blur. This is the singularity, the heart of darkness, the point where density becomes infinite and space and time themselves curve beyond ordinary comprehension. Imagine it not as frightening, but as profoundly still, a concentration of cosmic truth so dense that it hums silently in the fabric of existence. You hover at the edge, feeling both anticipation and reverence, as if approaching the final note in a symphony that has been playing since the first stars ignited. Here the ordinary measures of size, distance, and time dissolve. You sense space bending in ways you cannot fully picture, and time stretching or collapsing according to its own rhythm. Your mind reaches for familiar frames of reference, yet they fail gracefully, revealing the elegant strangeness of this cosmic environment. You realize that the singularity is not chaos. It is extreme order, a perfect concentration, a point where the universe demonstrates both its power and its subtlety. As you float, you notice the transition from the event horizon to this central point. Gravity intensifies, not in a violent pull, but as a soft, irresistible shaping of reality. Light curves dramatically, photons tracing paths that bend back on themselves in graceful arcs. Particles accelerate, their trajectories determined by the geometry of warp space. You imagine it as a dance choreographed by the universe itself, every step precise, inevitable, beautiful. Even in extremity there is elegance. You sense the paradoxical nature of the singularity. It is at once a limit and a gateway, a place where physics as you know it ceases to apply, yet also a source of insight. Concepts that once seemed absolute, of motion, distance, causality, begin to merge, fold, and stretch into new forms. You feel your mind softening in response, learning to hold paradox without tension, to accept that not every truth is linear, and that some understanding exists only in presence, observation, and reflection. The singularity's density is unimaginable, yet it is not violent. You do not feel destruction. Instead, there is quiet precision, an ultimate compression that transforms rather than annihilates. Matter, energy, and information converge, and yet their essence persists in ways that ripple outward. You sense that the heart of darkness contains memory, not conscious memory, but a cosmic archive written in curvature, in quantum traces, in the subtle warping of space-time itself. You drift closer still, feeling the gentle pull of gravity at its most extreme. Here, every path you take is dictated by geometry, every motion part of a larger, inevitable unfolding. You notice that time stretches dramatically. Each second elongates as though the universe itself slows to accommodate this concentration of matter. You feel an intimacy with the passage of time, a softness that invites meditation rather than fear. In the singularity, you are both observer and participant, witnessing a concentration of reality so complete it overwhelms ordinary comprehension. Your thoughts wander to the equations and theories physicists have devised to describe these points. Singularity is a term that sounds cold and abstract, yet in your awareness it becomes poetic. It is a place where the cosmos shows you its ultimate elegance, a point of extreme potential, a center of gravity that is at once still and infinitely powerful. You sense that the laws of nature converge here in ways that are profoundly simple and yet beautifully complex. As you hover, you feel the bending of light, the stretching of space, and the slowing of time as a soft caress. The singularity does not threaten. It invites contemplation. Its density is a mirror reflecting the universe's capability for concentration and transformation. You sense that even the vast emptiness outside it, the stars, the gas, the void, is shaped by its presence. It exerts influence not through aggression, but through structure, through alignment, through the quiet insistence of geometry. You notice the subtle relationship between the event horizon and the singularity. The horizon marks the boundary. The singularity embodies the endpoint. Together they form a dynamic, intimate pair. One defines the reach of influence, the other defines the concentration of existence. You sense that understanding the singularity requires patience, not analysis alone. It demands presence, awareness, a willingness to accept the limits of perception while marveling at the depth of insight that emerges from such limits. Floating nearer, you feel the gravity stretching your awareness, elongating your perception in harmony with the stretching of space. You notice how even a thought, an intention, a spark of curiosity follows paths dictated by the singularity's influence. Everything that approaches it is transformed, not violently, but subtly, reshaped in accordance with its extraordinary density. You begin to see the singularity not as an endpoint, but as a focal point, a place where the universe's principles are compressed into pure form, a seed of cosmic elegance. The paradox becomes clearer. Here is a point of infinite density, yet it is not chaotic. It is structured, precise, governed by rules beyond ordinary perception. You feel your understanding expand as you embrace this duality. Gravity is absolute, space is curved, time is fluid, yet all moves with a quiet rhythm of inevitability. You are invited to observe without judgment, to appreciate without needing to control, to witness without being consumed. You imagine the singularity as a center of memory, a place where information from the star's life and collapse is preserved in subtle ways. Though nothing can escape the horizon, the universe remembers, encoded in space-time itself, in patterns and geometry that ripple outward through gravitational waves. You feel the connection between creation and memory, between collapse and continuity, between endings and quiet persistence. Even in the heart of darkness, there is preservation, a gentle echo of life that once was. You begin to sense the singularity as a teacher. Its lessons are not delivered in words, but in structure, in rhythm, in the quiet stretching of reality. You learn the beauty of concentration, the elegance of inevitability, the grace of surrender. You sense that endings are not annihilations, but transformations, compressions that release new understanding in ways that are subtle, profound, and enduring. You notice how all paths lead inevitably toward the singularity once the horizon is crossed, yet you also sense the patience inherent in the process. The universe does not hurry. Motion is precise, measured, deliberate. You drift now into the quiet rhythm of sustenance, observing the slow, deliberate life of a black hole as it feeds and grows. Imagine it as a gentle cosmic appetite, not ravenous or chaotic, but patient, precise, and integral to the universe's balance. Gas, dust, and even entire stars are drawn into its invisible embrace, guided by gravity's soft hand along elegant spirals. You sense that the black hole does not seize. It invites, drawing matter in with gentle insistence, shaping its path with the precision of a masterful conductor. You float near an accretion disk, a luminous swirl of matter gradually spiraling inward. Each particle moves along its path with intention, heated by friction, glowing softly as it approaches the horizon. You imagine these particles tracing delicate arcs, bending around the black hole in a slow, choreographed dance. Even as matter is consumed, there is a quiet beauty, a serene elegance in the transformation of energy and structure. You feel a sense of awe at the harmony inherent in what might otherwise seem violent. The black hole's growth is slow, imperceptible to ordinary time, yet undeniable across cosmic scales. You sense the patience in this accumulation, the quiet rhythm of mass and energy adding to an ever-deepening gravitational well. Stars may wander too close, gas clouds may drift inward, and all is absorbed without rush, without aggression. It is as though the universe itself teaches that even the most extreme forces operate best through subtle persistence rather than abrupt action. You notice the balance inherent in this process. While the black hole consumes, it also influences its surroundings. Radiation from the accretion disk pushes gently on nearby gas, shaping star formation and guiding the flow of matter in the galaxy. You sense the delicate interplay between absorption and emission, between pull and push, between growth and influence. The black hole is not isolated. It is part of a vast, meditative conversation with the universe. As you drift closer, you imagine the moment when a star ventures too near. Tidal forces stretch and elongate it, pulling it into a spiral that ends in the accretion disk. You feel no fear in this process, only fascination at the elegance of transformation. Matter changes form, energy radiates outward, and the black hole's mass increases imperceptibly. You notice how the universe preserves information through this interaction. Light, motion, and energy recording subtle details of events long after they occur. Floating further, you sense the subtle influence of multiple black holes in a galaxy. Their combined gravitational fields shape the trajectories of stars, gas clouds, and even other black holes. You feel the interconnectedness of their growth, their feeding, and their influence. Each black hole participates in a cosmic rhythm, a gentle dance of mass and motion that unfolds over millions of years. You sense the patience required to witness such processes, the quiet reward of observing cosmic harmony at its slowest, grandest scale. You notice how feeding affects time near the black hole. Particles spiral inward, experiencing time stretched and elongated, while distant observers would see the process unfold differently. You feel your own awareness attuning to this rhythm, noticing the difference between perception and reality, between presence and observation. You sense that true understanding here is experiential, to observe without rushing, to follow without intervening, to float within the current of cosmic transformation. The accretion disk emits light across wavelengths, glowing in soft reds, blues, and ultraviolet hues. You imagine these colors as echoes of the black hole's interaction with its surroundings, a visual symphony that marks the transfer of energy, the rearrangement of matter, and the quiet expansion of influence. You sense that even in darkness, there is illumination, and that growth need not be aggressive to be transformative. Each particle carries a story, a trace of the process, a whisper of the cosmic dialogue unfolding around the black hole. You float among the streams of matter, noticing their spirals, their collisions, and their eventual absorption. Each particle's journey is unique, yet collectively they form an intricate pattern, a meditative flow of energy that feeds the black hole while shaping its environment. You feel the quiet lesson here. Even in consuming, there is creation, even in collapse, there is form, and even in darkness, there is subtle illumination. You sense the elegance of this balance, the poetry inherent in transformation. As you observe, you imagine the timescales involved. Millions, billions, even trillions of years pass as the black hole grows. Stars orbit, gas clouds drift, and cosmic structures evolve. Yet throughout, the black hole's feeding remains patient, persistent, and measured. You sense the universality of this principle. That profound influence often requires time, patience, and quiet consistency, rather than urgency or force. You feel the meditative cadence of cosmic growth unfolding all around you. You notice how black holes interact with each other over time. Galaxies merge, black holes spiral together, and their gravitational dances become more complex. You sense the elegance in these interactions. Not chaotic collisions, but carefully guided movements dictated by the contours of space-time. Even the most extreme unions unfold with subtle rhythm, creating ripples that propagate through the universe, leaving echoes in the form of gravitational waves. You feel the soft beauty of influence extended, communicated, and preserved. Floating near the edge of the accretion disk, you consider the interplay between consumption and feedback. The energy radiated outward affects star formation, guides interstellar gas, and helps maintain balance in the galaxy. You sense that the black hole's growth is inseparable from the life of the surrounding cosmos. It is not merely a devourer. It is a participant in the ongoing meditation of cosmic evolution, shaping the universe while being shaped by it. You imagine the future of this growth. Over unimaginable timescales, the black hole may merge with others, consume stars, or even dissipate slowly via Hawking radiation. Yet you sense that each stage is part of a continuum, a long, meditative unfolding of matter and energy. You feel the quiet rhythm of this process, the poetry of slow transformation, the elegance of patience, and the beauty of influence exercised without haste. Even as the black hole grows, you sense the subtle intimacy of its interaction with the surrounding cosmos. Every particle, every photon, every ripple of gravitational influence contributes to the ongoing dance. You float within this rhythm, attuning your mind and body to the gentle cadence of cosmic growth, feeling yourself a part of the quiet, meditative orchestration of creation, transformation, and persistence. You notice how the flow of matter toward the black hole teaches lessons about surrender and patience. Particles do not resist. They follow paths shaped by curvature, adapting to the rhythm of gravity. You sense the soft metaphor in this. In yielding to natural forces, there is alignment; in surrender, there is understanding; and in patience, there is progress. You feel your awareness merging with the gentle patterns of cosmic motion, breathing in sync with the universal rhythm. As you drift, you consider the quiet influence of the black hole beyond immediate feeding. Its gravity guides distant stars, shapes spiral arms, and stabilizes orbits. Even as it consumes locally, it organizes globally. You sense the elegance in this balance. Intake and output, attraction and guidance, absorption and illumination. The black hole is a teacher of harmony, showing how even extremes can coexist with grace, order, and calm. You float along streams of glowing gas, spiraling closer yet never anxious, noticing how each particle contributes to the growth and illumination of the black hole. You sense that the universe is both patient and deliberate, that processes unfold according to principles deeper than ordinary perception, and that understanding comes not from rushing, but from attuning to the flow, observing, reflecting, and allowing presence to guide comprehension. And as you drift in this meditative observation of feeding and growth, you sense the quiet invitation to move onward, toward the influence black holes have on the grand cosmic web, on galactic evolution, and on the gentle whispers of energy that ripple outward, connecting stars, matter, and time. You feel the invitation to follow this thread, toward understanding not only the growth of a black hole, but its graceful influence on the cosmos itself. You drift now into the subtle vibrations of the universe, sensing the gentle tremors that travel across the cosmos like whispers in an endless void. These are gravitational waves, ripples in the very fabric of space and time, set in motion by black holes as they move, merge, and influence their surroundings. Imagine the universe as a vast elastic sheet, and every motion of mass, every dance, every collision, every orbit, sends waves outward, soft undulations that stretch, compress, and ripple silently across light years. Floating here, you become aware of the subtle nature of these ripples. They are not loud, they do not crash. They are imperceptible to ordinary senses, yet they carry immense information. You imagine the black holes as musicians, playing slow, deliberate notes, each vibration recording a story of cosmic events. You feel the rhythm of these waves, a meditative pulse that travels across galaxies, connecting distant points in ways unseen yet deeply present. You notice how gravitational waves stretch and squeeze space as they pass. Distances expand and contract imperceptibly, time itself adjusting to the wave's motion. You sense the gentle undulations moving through your awareness, as if the universe itself were breathing slowly, deliberately, with measured, infinite patience. You breathe along with it, inhaling the rhythm, exhaling with the pulse, becoming attuned to the subtle heartbeat of spacetime. As you float farther, you observe the sources of these waves. Black holes spiral toward each other in graceful slow-motion dances, their paths dictated by gravity's elegant choreography. When they merge, space quivers like a soft vibration across a pond. Energy is carried outward, far beyond the immediate vicinity, a whisper that reaches across galaxies. You feel awe at the notion that such extreme events communicate so gently, that influence can be profound without shouting, that the universe is both powerful and tender in its mechanisms. You imagine the merging of two supermassive black holes. Time stretches and curves near them, orbits elongate, and light bends in ways that defy ordinary comprehension. The waves generated are faint yet measurable, subtle ripples that carry information about mass, spin, and motion. You sense the poetry in this imperceptible communication, a reminder that the cosmos records its history not in words but in vibrations, in curves, in rhythmic undulations across spacetime. Floating among these ripples, you notice the patterns emerging. Waves interfere, overlap, and reinforce each other in complex yet harmonious ways. You feel that even chaos has a rhythm, and even randomness can create a quiet symmetry. You imagine yourself tracing the waves, following their soft curves, feeling the slow ebb and flow as they ripple through the cosmos, carrying the echo of distant, extreme events with infinite patience. You consider the profound intimacy of these ripples. Though black holes themselves are invisible, the waves they create reach out to connect distant parts of the universe. You feel the connection between your presence and these distant events, an awareness that even the smallest observation links you to forces vast and timeless. There is a meditative grace in knowing that the universe communicates continuously, softly, and without hurry, through mechanisms subtle yet precise. As you drift along a gravitational wave, you notice the stretching of light and matter, the gentle adjustment of distances. You imagine the universe as a living fabric, responsive and sensitive, where even immense mass interacts with a vast expanse of space. You sense that the universe is alive not in the conventional sense, but in its responsiveness, its delicacy, and its unhurried, precise communication of force and influence. You breathe in the rhythm, aligning your awareness with the soft oscillations that ripple past. You observe how black holes' rotations and motions influence the waves they emit. Each spin, each orbit, each merger creates unique undulations, a fingerprint of motion recorded across spacetime. You imagine these waves as cosmic messages, each containing details about mass, energy, and trajectory. You sense that the universe is self-documenting, carrying a record of its processes in waves, vibrations, and patterns, subtle yet persistent, quiet yet profound. Floating farther, you notice that these ripples reach across the cosmos, stretching over light years, connecting events that occurred millions or even billions of years ago. You sense that space and time are not fixed backgrounds but dynamic participants in a continuous dialogue. Every ripple carries information, yet it does so with patience, without urgency, unfolding across epochs in a meditative cadence that resonates deeply within your awareness. You feel the universe's soft teaching, that influence is not always immediate, that communication can be subtle, and that power often works through persistence and rhythm rather than force. You sense the black hole's quiet authority, shaping distant stars, guiding galactic flows, and leaving ripples that eventually reach observant minds far from the source. There is poetry here, a slow revelation of the interconnectedness of all things, from the smallest particle to the largest cosmic structure. Floating farther, you notice that these ripples reach across the cosmos, stretching over light years, connecting events that occurred millions or even billions of years ago. You sense that space and time are not fixed backgrounds but dynamic participants in a continuous dialogue. Every ripple carries information, yet it does so with patience, without urgency, unfolding across epochs in a meditative cadence that resonates deeply within your awareness. You feel the universe's soft teaching, that influence is not always immediate, that communication can be subtle, and that power often works through persistence and rhythm rather than force. You sense the black hole's quiet authority, shaping distant stars, guiding galactic flows, and leaving ripples that eventually reach observant minds far from the source. There is poetry here, a slow revelation of the interconnectedness of all things, from the smallest particle to the largest cosmic structure. You drift alongside a wave emanating from a distant merger, feeling the stretching and compressing of space as it passes. You notice that time itself seems to flex with the wave, moments elongating, distances subtly adjusting. You sense that understanding here is experiential, not analytical. Presence, attention, and attunement reveal truths more profound than words could capture. You breathe with the rhythm, attuning yourself to the slow oscillations that trace the story of mass, motion, and transformation. You imagine the entire universe as a vast, vibrating fabric, woven from countless interactions, mergers, and motions. Gravitational waves flow continuously, connecting every corner, transmitting histories, and shaping the future in ways both subtle and profound. You feel your awareness becoming a part of this fabric, your consciousness attuned to its meditative pulse. You sense that observation is a form of participation, that presence is a gentle collaboration with the cosmos itself. Floating near a region dense with merging black holes, you notice how the waves interfere, overlap, and amplify. You sense the complexity of these interactions, yet also the quiet harmony underlying them. The universe communicates not in chaos but in a meditative, measured rhythm. You feel a calm awe at the subtlety and precision, understanding that the universe's power is expressed not in noise or haste, but in patience, persistence, and delicate orchestration. You reflect on the journey so far. The singularity, the feeding, the radiation, and now the ripples that extend far beyond. Each phenomenon is a thread in the cosmic tapestry, a quiet echo of presence and motion. You sense that black holes are more than points of darkness. They are composers of a slow, meditative symphony, whose notes are written in space, time, and subtle vibration. You breathe along with the rhythm, absorbing the cadence of the universe's gentle communication. You notice the faint glow of light bent by gravity waves, the subtle arcs traced by photons as space-time oscillates. You imagine these photons as dancers responding to the undulations, carrying the story of the waves with them, painting soft patterns of illumination across the void. You sense that even in darkness, there is communication, elegance, and poetry, a persistent whisper of information traveling across eons and light years. Floating in this awareness, you sense the intimacy of connection. The waves that ripple outward are not loud declarations. They are soft gestures, gentle messages that preserve the history of motion and transformation. You feel a quiet kinship with these ripples, understanding that presence, attention, and awareness create their own subtle influence. Observation becomes a meditation, participation becomes reflection, and understanding emerges from attunement. You drift farther, following the oscillations, sensing the far-reaching influence of black holes. You notice how these waves ripple through the cosmic web, subtly shaping clusters of galaxies, guiding motion and preserving history. You feel the universe as a living, breathing entity, patient, persistent, and endlessly intricate, communicating its history and structure through vibrations that demand quiet attention rather than forceful observation. And as you float among these ripples, attuning to their subtle pulse, you sense the invitation to continue toward the final meditative reflections on the nature of black holes, their place in the cosmos, and the quiet lessons they offer about presence, patience, and the gentle power of influence. The universe whispers softly, carrying you forward, guiding your awareness to the final chapters of understanding, where darkness and light, stillness and motion, presence and perception meet in gentle meditative harmony. You drift now to the quietest part of your journey, where observation blends with reflection, and understanding emerges not through explanation but through presence. Black holes, these immense and enigmatic structures, have taught you much in subtle meditative ways. They are both singular points of extreme density and gentle orchestrators of cosmic order. Their lessons are not shouted. They are whispered, waiting for those who pause, breathe, and allow themselves to witness. You imagine the singularity again, its infinite density, a heart of darkness and stillness. Here lies a paradox, the point where ordinary laws dissolve, yet where the universe's principles converge in extreme elegance. You sense that life, in its own rhythms, mirrors this paradox. There are moments of collapse and renewal, endings and beginnings, compression and expansion. You feel that presence is the key. To observe, to allow, to be aware without demanding understanding. In the singularity, you have seen the patience of the cosmos distilled to its essence. Floating outward, you recall the gentle pull of gravity, shaping stars, guiding galaxies, and influencing paths across light years. You have witnessed how black holes feed, yet also how they organize, harmonize, and maintain balance. You feel that this quiet authority is a lesson for your own awareness. Influence need not be aggressive. Presence, patience, and subtle consistency can shape outcomes profoundly. The universe demonstrates this truth across scales, reminding you of the elegance inherent in restraint and quiet power. You reflect on Hawking radiation, the faint whispers of light escaping from darkness. Even in apparent absence, even in extremes of density, there is the possibility of giving, of transmitting information, of leaving traces. You sense that in your own life, subtle acts, gentle insights, and quiet attention carry power far beyond what is immediately apparent. You feel a resonance with the universe's patient rhythms, where even imperceptible signals contribute to the